Here we are, episode 16 of the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast, coming at you from remote locations this week.
That's what's up.
Right? I mean, so I'm coming at you from White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, and Jesus. Scott is clean shaven. So there's a lot of crazy things going on right now.
I lost a bet.
We're going to have to change our... we lost a bet. We're going to have to change our logo now to a clean shaven Scott.
No, I think I'm going to let it grow back. I'm very conflicted.
Oh, you are?
Okay. On one hand, it's totally not important for this podcast, but I am conflicted. I think it's going to grow back.
Okay. All right, listen.
Yeah.
Well,
we'll see.
You definitely look... It's definitely a cleaner look for you, that's for sure. Nancy was like, what is that?
Yeah, I mean,
my
daughter...
Was your wife like, what is that?
No, she... seen it before, but Noah looked at me and she goes, who are you?
She didn't like it?
I don't like it. No, she said, grow your beard back. I don't like it, Dad.
Well, because she's used to you that way.
No, of course. It's all good. I just kind of said, F it. I needed to trim my beard and I just decided to shave the whole thing. And then I thought, I'll just keep a new look for a little while. But I'm not sure that I want to keep it. So we'll see. Either way, it doesn't matter.
I got you. Hey, listen, well, you look good for all of our YouTube followers.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, everybody?
Right? So, all right. So, everybody, welcome to episode 16. Again, coming at you remotely. We are figuring this out on the fly. That's for sure.
No doubt. And it's definitely a little different, but, we want to just keep true to our once a week release, and we'll get better at it. So if anything sounds off strange, just bear with us. Appreciate the viewership as well for all those on YouTube. And correct me if I'm wrong, James, but new state, right? Nebraska, I think is new
state.
Awesome. Shout out to
Nebraska. Cornhuskers.
Cornhuskers.
Welcome all you Cornhuskers.
No doubt.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So please keep on sharing the show with friends, family, other hockey enthusiasts. Really appreciate it all. And honestly, I would love to hear some more comments. We've gotten a few. We'd love to hear some more. Just stories that you can relate to that we share, and we'd love to hear your experiences also. This is an opportunity for all of us to learn from one another, because I know, and we both know, that we're not the only ones that struggle with a lot of the stuff that we talk about. Probably the reason why we're doing this.
Yep.
So comments, please. We'd love to hear from anyone that's been listening.
Yeah, maybe we can read them on the air. The comments we've got so far are great. We can read some stories. I'm sure you guys all have your own stories, as we do. So please, everybody, keep subscribing, keep downloading, keep sharing. If you need any gear, any tape, any laces, go to our Howie's Hockey and use our affiliate link, which is Crazy10, CRAZY, the number 10 for 10% off. It really helps support the show and helps us a lot.
Yeah, I was rocking the shirt this weekend, and I have down here.
Nice, the candle.
Brought the candle. No
really
doubt.
Good smelling. It's a phenomenal smelling wax.
My daughter loves it.
Oh, it's a phenomenal smell.
No doubt.
Yeah, fantastic.
You
just dropped Otto off at hockey camp, right?
Yeah, he's up at Elite Hockey Camp in New Hampshire.
Nice.
Staying at the New Hampton School for the next 5 days.
It's awesome.
Looks awesome. I mean, just the setup over there is great. They don't want parents hanging around. I might be heading up there on Friday with my wife to see, they have a game, like a final game or whatever that parents are invited to.
Yeah, most of the time they do, yeah.
Yeah, but it just seemed really well organized, well put together. I did not see the ice, but he's up there for a week, and I'll say this: I think that this is his second time going away to sleepaway camp. He went 1 week last year. He's doing 4 weeks this year, but only 1 week at hockey. But so this was his first week away. I think he was, probably had some nerves just about being away from home, full of excitement, just to, be away from home at the same time. It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But I was just reflecting on my time when I also went up to New Hampshire as a kid. I went to Philip Exeter Academy, the boarding school, and I did I went up there a few times for camp, and it's just it's got to be similar to going to tryouts or going to a spring, like after the fall winter season, and you got maybe new teammates on a spring team. It's just like you don't know what to expect. You don't know the skill level. You don't know if kids are nice, if they're douchebags, what it's going to be like on the ice where you stack up. So whatever, he'll figure all that stuff out, obviously. But here's one thing I will say, that they certainly whatever, it doesn't matter, the independence, right? So when I was walking with Otto, he had his backpack. Huge. Like we had a duffel bag, he had a backpack, and so the duffel bags got shipped over by like a bus to the dorm room or whatever, so he had his backpack on, and we had a rather long walk, over a football field's walk. So I just said, you hang on to your to your backpack, and then we got over to the gymnasium. We had to grab our hockey bags and bring them over to like the designated area, where his team was, and so it's like walking across a basketball court, more or less. So I had just picked up the hockey bag. And then one of the
said something to you?
counselors were like, it kind of sounded the alarm.
Down.
He's like, Dad carrying hockey bag. And at first I was like,
no bueno.
No, he was not feeling that at all. So I just dropped it. I'm like, there you go, dude.
Yep, all yours, bud.
All yours.
Listen, I get it, and he's right. He's 100% right. In my opinion, all of our kids, if they can do it, they should be doing it. That's why I keep telling Nancy.
Yeah, totally. And I need to get better at it. I've definitely. It's what am I saying? It's not like a muscle memory just yet. There's some things that I'm just used to doing, and it's muscle memory for me to do it. It's not muscle memory for me to say, yo buddy, this is on you. So I'm getting better at it, but it's a little bit of a learning curve for me, also with some things. And so I'm glad for that. And they also, I think it was this camp, but I forget if it was in an email or where it was, but when they pick up their jersey, their coach for the week is there at the table with their jerseys. And I think they said in one of their emails or PDFs, we want your kids to introduce themselves. We want them to talk to the counselor, the coaches. We want them to like shake their hands and look them in the eye. And I thought that was really great that this.
Yeah, I like that.
They were also mindful of just, kids becoming more mature, right? And like start to enforce those good habits.
Listen, I think it's huge. I love the fact that he called you out for carrying Otto's bag. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's great. That's the idea. These kids, they have to be independent. That's how they learn. Right?
100%. So one thing that's I'm curious to hear what Otto says when we pick him up, or Orly picks him up, at tying his skates. He's not there yet.
You know what? It's fine. It's fine.
I know. I know insofar as like for some of these kid things that are kid specific, like he's not going to need dad or an adult to tie his skates forever. He's not going to need us to do these things forever. So I'm not concerned about him ever not learning. But when we got into the dorm room, his roommate was there he was there last year also. And so, this was his first week back for this summer. And I think he pretty much said, everyone needs to be able to tie their skates. And I was like, I can't ask anyone to help me. And the kid didn't really answer. And again, you take everything that kids say with a grain of salt, but I hope that doesn't lend to a bad experience.
I think these counselors are used to tying skates, man.
Yeah, I
wouldn't sweat
agree.
it.
But the moment I walked in the gym with a hockey bag, I got called out. So who knows what it's like in the locker room? You know, they could be like a strict.
Drop the bag, pussy. It's like the lunk alarm from like Planet Fitness.
The what alarm?
You know, Planet Fitness, the gym.
Yeah.
So there's a thing called the lunk alarm, and the lunk alarm, the lunk alarm sounds when you got a big like when you got like a big meatball in there going. Yeah. They call it a lunk alarm because they don't want that. So they actually have like a lunk alarm in Planet Fitness gyms.
Like for real life?
Yeah. They have it's called a lunk alarm. They had commercials with it and everything. You don't remember that?
I just remember the commercials where it was like I pick things up and put them down. I pick things up and put them down.
I'm telling you, Google Planet Fitness lunk alarm. I'm pretty sure they have like a legit alarm
They should
that
have those
goes
in
off when
tennis
somebody goes all Arnold Schwarzenegger and like makes a lot of noise while they're lifting and like starts slamming down weights and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure a lunk alarm goes off.
Well, the slamming of the weights is like that's real, but like, yeah, wow, interesting. They should have that for tennis, where like for grunting.
Monica Seles.
Monica Seles. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, sure. Remember those
There were
days?
plenty of them. Was it Agassi too?
You and I played tennis as kids with a dude who did that.
Dude,
I'm sure you remember well.
At least two.
Yes, one who
and D.O.
CR, everybody actually would know these days too if we actually drop the name, which we can't.
Yeah, that's look.
The purveyor of a good clothing brand these days.
But listen, at the end of the day, he was a sick tennis player, and
he was. Like, that's true.
It's easy for kids to like poke fun, and like obviously grunting is part of like tennis. Maybe at least it was, and I don't know if it still is. So yeah, while it's not something that you or I would necessarily do, whatever. He was a sick tennis player, and he's gone on to do some great things. So
yeah. If I had known I was going to play pickleball later on in my life, I would have never stopped playing tennis at like the age of 12. You know?
Yeah, but they don't teach you to dink.
Meanwhile, the place I'm at has like 10 like fantastic courts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, yeah. I the guy was telling me about them at the front desk today. I need to check that out tomorrow. This place is enormous, Scott.
Oh, that's sick.
Like enormous. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, we're still trying to get like the lay of the land.
So why don't we just segue into this week? Is there any other like catch up? Dom. Any like? Yeah. So he's in full vacation mode, right? Like no hockey. He didn't travel with any hockey sticks and like.
So he traveled with his hockey stick and a stick handling ball.
Oh,
so
nice.
He has that. Yeah, so he does have that. He wants to, again, especially with the NHL draft happening, like he wants to be drafted. So he's like, Dad, I got to bring my hockey ball. So he has that. And then we're working out. So we're lifting wherever we are. We were in Baltimore, we were in D.C., we were in Virginia, now we're in West Virginia. We've been working out at every place we've been.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we're doing a lot of, weights and stuff like that. So that's but no hockey, no skating or nothing.
Okay. Well,
yeah, it's good stuff.
Whatever. That's fine.
Yeah. And meanwhile, wherever
awesome.
I go,
so,
I'm slapping our Crazy Hockey Dad stickers everywhere we go.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I sent you a couple of screenshots of them. They're wherever I can find a place. Matter of fact, I put one in Roanoke. We were in Roanoke yesterday before we came here. We were in a restaurant, and they had stickers like on one of the doors to go into the restrooms. Yeah. And I said to the lady, I'm like, you just put whatever sticker that you want. She's like, yeah. She's like, have at it. I'm like, okay, no problem. I put like 3 of them there.
Did you put 3?
Yeah, I didn't send you a picture of that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're everywhere. They're all like on major highways at rest areas. They're like they're everywhere. I put them everywhere. They're everywhere. Nancy's like, you're gonna get arrested. I'm like, nah. So if you're traveling up and down the East Coast, you see a Crazy Dad hockey sticker, take a picture of it and send it to us.
Oh, there you go. That would be amazing.
Right?
If someone sent pictures.
Right? How sick would that be? If you find a Crazy Hockey Dad sticker, take a picture of it, send it to us.
We should put a QR code on there.
Yeah.
That links,
You're right about
to
that.
the podcast.
That's a great idea, actually. We should have those made. All right.
Word.
Here we go.
All right. So let's episode 16. You want to move into today's topic and keeping up with the Joneses. Is the topic for today. So you want to
a very real topic in our game.
No doubt. Is there anything on top of mind for you that you want to kick it off with?
I had written down sticks. Sticks seem to be like one of the major things. Sticks, and I think parents that think that they need to do all the skating and stick handling and all the classes and all the on ice stuff that kind of comes with with our kids doing it. I think sticks is big. Also comes with a big cost attached to it, right? Yeah. And I think all of the extracurricular stuff is also huge. That's what I think sticks out of my mind when I think of keeping up with the Joneses. Did I miss anything?
No, I mean, I'm sure there's other instances or other examples,
right?
But for
of
me,
course.
If I hear that expression, keeping up with the Joneses,
right, the
first thing that comes to mind for me is like the extra stuff.
Yes.
I think that so where we live, we have that small rink over at Cutting Edge, where there's like regular skill clinics, and so there's always a place where that's all they do there, right? It's not like a regular rink where they've got like team practices and they've got figure skating or whatever else. So all day, every day, it's full of private lessons and different types of clinics, shooting, skating, whatever. And there are people that just go there and go there and go there and then seek out other on top of that, where do you go? You go out to the Swedish skater out wherever he is.
I do. He's sometimes in Montclair, sometimes in Randolph, depending on where he is. Yeah.
Right. So I guess from my experience and with that specifically, we like the kids on the team, no one lives too far from from Cutting Edge. So people go there before school, after school.
Yeah, sure
before
they do.
Practice. Then to practice. And it's kind of like you can get on the ice all like every day, 2 times a day if you wanted to at that place.
Yes, you can.
And there are some families that are just there, can't stop, won't stop, and
all the time.
Yeah, and so when you see, and especially at the younger ages, right? Like I am always reminding myself, and I think we're getting close to the point, or you are there more than me, but at the younger ages, they're not necessarily better. They just figured it out before whoever, or like Otto's
I think
not
that's
there
true, by the way.
Yet, for example, but there are kids that are much better because they just figured it out first, and certainly
earlier.
It's like the rule of what is it, 10,000 hours, the Malcolm Gladwell, the all that stuff. So
somebody's just farther along down the road than others. Yes.
Right, and so when you see kids making bigger leaps than let's say your kid's making, you're like, oh man, I need to catch up. And then how am I going to catch up? And what are they doing?
FOMO is big in our game, right?
FOMO, yes, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's also parents. I think a lot of the parents in our games have big egos. A lot of them are type A personalities, and they don't want their kids to fall behind. They want to keep up with the Joneses, right? I mean, it's a very, very, and listen, we live in a rather well-to-do area, so there's a lot of money being thrown around, in this game. And there's no shortage of skills coaches and private lessons, where we are. We haven't even gotten into sticks yet. Right?
No.
The $400 sticks that kids snap, and most of them can't even trigger the flex. When I look back at the amount of money I spent on Dom's sticks, I mean, Dominic couldn't trigger the flex. He couldn't use the actual, the mechanics of the stick. He didn't have the strength. He couldn't. So you're buying these expensive sticks, and the kids are snapping them in the locker rooms. Be like, oh, let me see the flex on your stick, and they bend on it. All of a sudden, the stick snapped in half. Right? We had a kid flex one of our goalie sticks, broke a Bauer goalie stick. Especially that thing was like $300.
I think you mentioned that a couple of podcasts ago, or
one of our early episodes.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, it's true. He flexed a goalie stick. I never know goalie sticks flexed. I don't think they really do much.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I actually just got Otto a stick today. We stopped at Pure Hockey before we went to camp. Yeah, because his backup stick was one. Now, I had made a mistake of buying him a stick that was like way too, like the flex was too high. And then it was, he tried it.
Like it was too stiff, you mean?
It was, it's 100% too stiff. And look, this is what we've all been kids.
What was it, like a 60 or a 50? What was it?
I think it was probably a 40 that had gotten cut down considerably. So it probably got it was probably up to like a 50 or 60 or something crazy. That's not crazy, but for him it's too much. But
for him it is, yeah.
He didn't even ask for that one. I just got a good deal on sticks, and so I said, I'll just get you this one. I remember one of his teammates had it a while back, and in retrospect, it was stupid. I was just attracted to like the cheap price, honestly.
What'd you get?
It was a Bauer Supersonic. Oh, Supersonic? I think Ultrasonic? Supersonic?
Ultrasonic. Yeah, something like that. Okay, gotcha. All right.
I don't know.
Nice.
But this was
cool.
A year ago now. And so in any event, he got one of those Blade Tech sticks, and so it was a much lower flex. And I was like, if someone steals a stick or if he breaks a stick, he's going to be miserable trying to deal with the rest of camp with like a senior size blade. I think it's got like a bigger blade. It's like an intermediate stick or like a whatever stick, and the blade's bigger, which has its advantages, but he doesn't love it, and then it's also super stiff. So I was like, you know what, let me just get him something that's
that he's
the same flex that he's currently using.
So what'd you get him?
But
so you got the
a Hyperlight 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
But we go into Pure Hockey, and they've got like whatever Tracer and Twitch and all these other things, and they're way more expensive. And I was like, dude, listen to me.
Yeah.
When we walk into Pure Hockey, you might be walking out with no stick. So lucky for him, it was on sale, and I also had like reward points.
Right.
And so
his
I was able to.
Righty.
Yeah, so I got it. It was a good price, and so that's the only reason why I got it for him, was because it would have been the same
it's a good
price.
Stick too, by the way.
No doubt, and he was happy to have it, but he's looking at all these other sticks and the graphics, and he was like, oh, what about this? And I'm like, listen, bud, you want 0 sticks? Because if you're going to push me on this, we're going to walk out with nothing. So,
Yep.
So, yeah, but I think, and, I think a lot of it's driven by, like, what other kids have. And if another kid has a whatever stick, then they want that, or they are not necessarily at least Otto's not looking at all the technical specs. They just want the newer, shinier thing that their like teammate has, and because it looks cool. And at the end of the day, for years Otto was like, I want this stick and that stick, and he would justify the new stick by like, let's say it was like they only came in like when he was a youth, let's say they only came in junior, and it's like wait, do stiff, and he'd be like, oh, but I really like stiff sticks. I think I should much better.
They make up these
stick.
bullshit. They come up with some bullshit excuse why they should get it. Typical.
Totally.
I got to tell you, and looking back, I spent so much money on stuff that we did not need. Got to be tens of thousands of dollars, tens and tens and tens of thousands. Has to be. Has to be, Scott. Think about it.
Does that include
think about
like
all expensive skates, hockey camps? I mean, think about the. I mean, like hockey camps where just all of it. I mean, if I had to do it over again, to be honest with you, I would have gotten like a middle tier skate, right? I wouldn't have gone with like the high end skate. I would have gone with a middle tier skate, and I would have gone with just a regular stick.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I came across something recently that said, your kid doesn't need a $400 stick. He needs, a really good coach and sharp blades, period. And they actually had like a juice box in between like practices, and like a protein bar. If you think about it, the guy's not wrong.
No. No.
I would have done it so different if I had to do it over again. Like if I had another hockey player coming up, it'd be so different. And I bet you I would have gotten a very similar outcome. That's my guess.
That's probably true. probably true.
Right?
I think one just on the skate part for me, I never went for. I always try to get like the closer to the top of the line.
I always did.
You know, what
Same.
was available, but my strategy was not to get like, it would be like get like last year's model, that like not the newest
Which is
model.
fine. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
No, because from year to year the technology in the skates doesn't change that much. So like last year's top end model
Changes
is gonna
very
be,
little. Very little.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, really, how much stiffer is a boot going to get from one year to the next?
Not much.
Right?
And
like,
I
what
think
technology is going to change in the blade and the toques and the boot?
Not much. I think the only place where you're going to really
Right.
see a major difference if you're going to spend top dollars if you get custom skates. And I think that's not, like out of the
And
box.
that's insane for these
most
kids.
Yeah, especially because they outgrow them and they're so expensive. Like you can drop like
I was
$1,000
gonna say,
on skates.
Dominic got skates. I want to say like the start of last season. I mean, he said to me the other day, he's like, "Dad, he's like my left foot's hurting me." He's gone through like 3 shoe sizes, so he needs new skates before the season starts. Like every August, this kid gets a new pair of skates because his feet
Right.
grow.
It's like once a year. Is that like your cadence?
Yeah.
Like once a year for skates?
Yeah, normally it's in the summertime. Yes, that seems to be and we have gone like in like January and bought new skates, maybe 1 or 2 years, just because his feet grew.
Right.
So instead of buying the top of the line, now he's in a junior skate, right? Instead of buying the top of the line junior skate, I would have done it differently when he was younger. Now it's starting to get a little different since his age. Now he can flex the stick. Now he can actually use the mechanics. But up until his 13th birthday, he couldn't do that. He just
Right.
started doing it this past year, right? So figure, I wasted, from when he was 5, right, until he's, call it 12. It's a lot of
on
money
sticks.
that I spent. Yeah, and skates.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the skate again. I think I don't know the skate part. Unless you're getting the custom skates, like I said, getting higher end skates if you can afford it, right? Like not everyone can, and that's understandable.
Sure.
It's not a cheap sport, but if you can afford it, like I don't think I would scoff at necessarily a dad that or a family that keeps their kid in like a higher end model skate.
Listen,
but, the stick thing.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say the stick thing though. I think is crazy town. If you ask me, I like even when Otto was younger and he was using those like the CCM jet speeds mostly.
Yep.
When he was
very
younger, like,
reasonable. Super reasonable.
10, 20, 30 flex sticks.
Yep.
And I would tell him, and I didn't know. I never shot. I still don't shoot the puck like people, like kids do today. Like I never learned how to manipulate a stick. That's not the way I was taught when I was a kid, which is fine. But,
Right.
When the idea of having to flex a stick, I knew that having a higher flex stick was not something a younger kid was going to be able to do. So as he let's say went from like mite to squirt, and now he's a squirt and he wants like a different flex. I'm like, you should be using a stick. Again, there's different schools of thought. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm specifically talking about like learning how to flex a stick. And I would also say that it's probably not important at autos at a mite or squirts. Like that's not what they
Agreed.
should be focusing on. So I also understand that wholeheartedly.
No.
However, if you're choosing between 2 sticks, I was thinking he should use a stick that he could potentially flex or something that's not going to be overly stiff.
Sure.
But again, I'll be the first one to say I am no shooting coach. The biomechanics of it, and I couldn't speak to or teach well at all. But I could teach, probably not. But I think that the kids just want what their buddy next to them has, and it often doesn't make sense if you
Agreed.
in my opinion. Yeah.
Agreed. And it's funny, all these new wraps that come on these sticks every year. I mean, how many of these sticks are the exact same stick from the year before with new wrapping?
Well, that's manufacturers know that much better than us, but I can't imagine it changes that much.
As I'm like falling, I'm kneeling on the pillow. The pillow slipped off from under my knee. It's like the most comfortable position, so it like slipped off from under my knee. Like I said, folks, we're doing this on the fly. Bear with us. Listen, the things you do for your audiences, right? I mean, come on. You know what? I go up to the front desk when I got here today, and I'm like, I had a package shipped here. She's like, okay. She's like, can I have your name and your ID? So I hand her my ID. She's like, what does the package look like? I'm like, oh, it should be like an Amazon box. So she hands it to me, and she's like, doing a podcast? I'm like, maybe.
What? How did she know?
I have no idea. I don't know if she heard me or what, but I was like, I kind of smiled. She's like, you are, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, good luck with it. I'm like, thanks.
What? That's
no
so
idea.
random.
No idea. Go figure.
Wow, that's funny.
Girl at the front desk. Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? I remember when I was a kid, we'd get catalogs, equipment catalogs, because nothing was online, and I would flip through, and I would see like new shoulder pads. Like when I first started playing, I could body check. I was a second year PB when I started playing, like club hockey, and so shoulder pads were a big thing for me. Like I had buddies that were football players, and they would get like, big jacked up, shoulder pads. And I was like, I wanted to be a killer on the ice. So I would get like shoulder pads that were like, have big shoulders. And I just remember every season I would want like newer gear, and I didn't need it. Like the only other thing that I think of, that is like reasonable, at least in my opinion, are gloves. At least at these younger ages, like they definitely wear holes. They definitely stink to high hell. You don't need to buy like a top line glove, but in terms of like annual equipment refreshes, at least over here, gloves seem to be an annual purchase.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, we do the same. We buy gloves. Yes, right, because Dominic sticks his thumb through the glove every season, and likes it, like wants it like that.
It out?
Loves it like that.
That's so.
He
funny.
loves his thumb exposed, coming through the leather, or whatever it's made of.
When I played lacrosse,
why? I don't know.
When I played lacrosse, we didn't do it in hockey, but lacrosse, there was we would cut out the fingertips on the gloves.
Oh, there you go.
And I just did it because my buddy did it. I'm pretty sure.
So it was cool. Yeah, you just want to do it because it was cool.
But at the same time, like when I was playing,
could you feel the stick better?
I get, dude. I don't know. I played hockey, and I didn't cut out the whole, like whatever. Whatever. It was fine. I don't know.
Yeah, Dominic sticks his fingers through his gloves all the time and likes it like that. Like, actually gets mad when he gets a new pair of gloves because then they have to break it in again.
Oh, yeah, there are some kids that are like that do not like to have, like, different things. Like, I talked to a dad whose kid was, like, very sensitive to, gear? Had sensory, like, not issues, but, like, very sensitive to, like, the way things feel.
Yeah,
and, like,
my kid.
Yeah, new or different, it was not good.
Dude, my kid's still using his Mite elbow pads.
No way.
No bullshit.
Huh.
I just got him to change shoulder pads like a month and a half ago.
Yeah, I was going to say shoulder pads, elbow pads, pants. We've gone through a few pants, but not at the rate that we've gone through gloves, for sure, just because he grows.
Yeah.
Or shin guards.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's...
Dom still has his Mite shin guards, by the way.
Does he really? How does
shin guards and elbows? I have brand new of both. He doesn't want them.
But is he not like exposed in some places?
Oh no, he's exposed. No, he's exposed. Which probably is why he doesn't like blocking shots.
I mean, that could be the reason, but a lot of kids don't like blocking shots, or adults for that matter.
Yeah, I get that. I understand that. But no, we do gloves and skates are a yearly purchase for us.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And again, just like getting back to like the keeping up with the Joneses part.
Yep.
I think you pointed out well. Like it's mostly on the stick front. What other things have we?
And listen, Bauer, don't forget, coming up with the blind bag mini sticks from them was a genius move.
Genius.
Because they have all the wrappings of the new sticks.
Yeah.
And these kids, it's genius.
Totally genius.
These companies are marketing to like 8-year-olds.
Think about it. You hang those sticks like out of a packaging on the wall, and you don't sell one. You put it in a bag so you can't see it, and you call it a mystery or whatever you call it, and all of a sudden, like, they fly off the shelves.
Yeah, you give it a rarity, right? You give it like a 1 out of 100 or whatever it is.
No doubt. And
you blind bag it like everything else these days. It makes it exclusive.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's exclusive horseshit is what it is.
Bragging rights. But no, you know what the analogy that Dad gave me was that it was like trading cards. You try to collect the full set. If you get an extra, you swap it with somebody else. Like that was, and I thought I was like, oh, I can see how that. I don't know if it's what the manufacturer intended, but I can see why people, would treat it that way.
You want to hear a funny story?
What?
Want to hear a funny story? So a couple years ago, we were up by at New England Sports Center.
Yeah.
Right. He was probably like 9 or 10, something like that. And we're up at New England Sports Center, and there's a Pure Hockey down the street. Right. Yep. So I don't remember what the most exclusive or the highest the lowest probability stick was that year. It was like call it like 1 in every 100 or 1 in every 250, whatever it was. Right. Yeah. So he picks it up off the rack in Pure Hockey up by New England Sports Center. Okay. And he goes to the counter and he buys it. And the guy's like, dude, aren't you going to open it up here? He's like, I want to see what you got. So Dom's like, okay, yeah, sure. So he opens it in front of the employee who rang us up for it, right?
Okay.
And boom, he pulls out like, I don't know, the white proto, whatever it was that year that was like the stick, right? Whatever the rarest stick was in the batch of 5 or 6 that year, it was that one. Right? So the guy's like, oh my God, maybe we get one of those in the store the entire year. Oh my God, that's unbelievable. Dom's all excited. He's like, oh my God, Dad, this is great. Holy shit, this is phenomenal. So we walk out into the parking lot, right? We walk out into the parking lot and he goes, oh. I look at him and I go, what's the matter? He goes, it's a lefty. He picked the lefty, not the righty.
Oh my God! So what did he do?
He goes, "Oh, it's lefty."
So
I was like, "Oh God."
That's funny. I think there
right?
was someone did that. Like they did like a Secret Santa last year, and
right.
I could be confusing this with a different story, but I feel like someone got one of those skaters, like one of the players, a goalie stick, and they weren't thrilled about
right.
that. And I think, I think it was intentional, like, because you play knee hockey like in the hallways and whatever.
Sure.
And so I think the family probably thought it was like, a good idea to like also have a goalie stick, but I think the kid wasn't too happy about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But those listen. So these companies are marketing to the kids at a very young age, and they know just like social media. I mean, the kids can't help themselves. I mean, so they see somebody have the new wrapping job, and they all want it. Regardless of the mechanics of the stick, Scott. They just want the look. Yeah. It's all about the style. Dom's like, Dad, you don't understand. It's all about style. Style, Dad, style. No, I was like, Dominic, I don't give a shit about your style. I go, I just want to see you do the right thing on the ice, put the puck in the net, or skate really hard. I don't really care about what you look like. He goes, Dad, but it's all about style. I'm like, okay, style.
Yeah, I think on Otto's end, I think he knows. I think at this point, like he doesn't push too hard with certain things, and I think he's gotten pretty accepting of that everything costs money and that you don't just get like the newest shiny thing because you want it and you got to work for it.
Sure.
I was actually pretty reluctant today to buy him this like other backup stick, even though whatever was on sale, I used pure hockey points or dollars or whatever the hell they're called.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So
that rewards program,
reasonably priced.
Good,
but
it's a good stick too, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's for sure. But I was reluctant to get it because like he had a backup stick. I guess my issue is that like if something were to happen, and quite honestly, I think it's unlikely he's going to end up breaking his stick, but things happen, right? And if he ended up having 4 days left with like this 60 flex stick, I was like, I just spent all this money for him to go up to sleepaway camp and hockey camp, and not that is going to make such a difference, but I didn't want it. I just wanted to have a good experience, and I figured if he's going to keep on shooting with a lower flex, then he should. Even if it was a game, like I'd want him not to like be thrown off by like having like a stick that was like wildly different. You know what I mean? So I was like, I probably would have gotten him a different backup anyway. So I just got it sooner than I would have, but. Yeah, man, it's a tough place, and I think to be when, like you even like mentioned, just being in a sport where there's a good degree of affluence, and there are people that look, it's not uncommon for people in our area, and I'm not saying immediate necessarily, but like let's just like broaden it to like a 20-mile radius, let's say, for people to have like their own like ODRs. People buy chillers, like run, like I know a family that put in an ODR with chillers. They had to pull an electric off the street. Their electric bill went up like $2,000 a month in the winter, so their kids could skate. Dad's out there starting at like midnight, just like watering the ice, like in the beginning for like hours at a time. It's crazy, and then you get invited over, and the kids are having fun. Like, oh, can we get an ODR? Can we get a ring? It's like no. Like it's
Dominic asked me for one recently, by the way.
So
recently.
Let's do it.
Yeah, right. Sure. So it's funny you mentioned that about ODRs. There is a friend of mine who lives in the next town over from me who puts a rink in every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
They store it for him, right? And so they store it for him, and they take it down every at the beginning of every spring, and he resods his entire backyard every spring.
That's totally normal.
Yeah, and like a landscaper, like a landscaping company, this company comes once a day and Zambonis the ice for them. Because I said to him, I go, you out there Zamboning your ice like every day? He goes, no. He goes, I have a company that comes and does it every day, so it's ready to go. I was like a landscaper. He's like, yeah, like a landscaper.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's like an ODR landscaper.
Yeah. And I think we're talking about the same people, but like we know families that will, like you might hire a babysitter, like people hire goalies to be on their ODR so they can shoot on a real goalie. Rent a goalie. Like they'll pay people. Like,
I wonder.
And wait, but let me just. I think this is the point, because obviously they're on. Like, what kid doesn't want to go on an ODR and play hockey, right? Like that's par for the course. But I think what I'm talking about more specifically is getting like an older goalie, a more talented goalie than this kid would ever see in his like regular. Like, let's just say he's 10, getting like a high school goalie to like, you know what I mean?
Listen, nothing shocks me in this game. I'm sure there's no end to the ridiculousness that people will go to do this. It also is a very real thing that once these kids hit high school and once they find out about girls and drinking and hanging out, how many of these kids who have all this stuff are going to drop the game and go do something else? Like that's a very real thing that's coming.
It's
coming.
Interesting you say that. Like Otto's got like the end of the school year, or maybe even like midway through the year, but certainly now that school got let out, it's summertime and they're riding bikes and he's got more independence and blah blah blah. He's got a pretty robust social life, and
I'm telling you, it's coming.
No, I mean, I kind of see it already. Like the other day, he wanted to go to like a friend's like pool, like they were having friends over, as opposed to going to like a training session, which, you know, earlier in the day he's like, oh great, we're going, and then like he gets a solid invite, and he's like, oh, I want to go. He's like,
I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah,
and you know,
very real,
and I will be honest with you, I maybe even starting from this podcast and talking about this more often with greater thought, as well as making a move from tier 1 to tier 2. But I have to say, and I will also call, and this will all tie together, but I also want to call out, and I shared it with you, I was poking around the Hockey Think Tank's website, and they have a blog post on there, which is fantastic, which is about the North American players' journey to the NHL.
Oh yeah, very cool. Yeah, you did mention
stats, super interesting.
Very.
But like, there are so many takeaways. But the one thing that left such a lasting impression is that for most kids, their path to the NHL is going to be the long and hard one. And you watch, like, you know, I just watched I probably watched at least 45 minutes worth of, like, was it Matt Schaefer? Is that I think Schaefer got drafted
the number one pick? Yeah. The defenseman?
I mean, what a great story.
Kid's really good.
Super talented. But like, these are the stories, the highlights that come up about these, like, you know, I don't want to say necessarily generational talents, but like the more of the unicorns, right? The ones that are just like, not the ones that need
this kid's gonna be legit. Yeah.
No, of course, but like, there's so many players that make it just from continuing to get to the next level, little by slowly, and like, you know, not like early, not like an early draft in the OHL into like an under 20 draft pick in the NHL, and then immediately playing like on a top line. And I don't know if he will, but like Bedard, for example, and again, generational talent. But as to kind of bring this all together, the Hockey Think Tank blog post, like I said, was like, you know, the kid's probably going to be the long, hard journey, right? So when I think about, forget the NHL, let's just talk about college. And if he, Otto, I'm talking about, decides he wants to play college, right? Yeah. Like it now, college is like, you know, sequential, right? Like you go from like elementary to middle to high school to college. Like that's generally the trajectory. The path. But I think I think when you layer in just like kids getting better over time, I feel like when we try to keep up with the Joneses, especially when we talk about like the skill piece, we all want to fast track our kids to greatness. And I don't say we all. I mean, at least I've had moments of feeling that way, where it's like really important at these young ages to really like, you know, become a little professional, right? And
that's what they are. Yeah.
And I think that like as I've thought about this and talked about this, I can honestly say that I've become more relaxed about him like wanting to do other things and like hang out with his friends, because there's so much value in just being, normal's not the right word, but like not
I know what you mean.
Only being focused on hockey. Right, like he loves mountain biking. He's going to go to mountain biking camp, and he's more excited about that than going to hockey camp. I know this, but mountain biking is also new and shinier than hockey. It doesn't have mom and dad like breathing down his neck sometimes about like going to this or going to that, and it's like it's purely out of his own passion that he is doing mountain biking, going up jumps. He's like, I want to learn like how to do like a tire spin or whatever you call it. And when he's in the air, and so I think, look, he needs to stay connected to the game, because a sport, even let's just say tomorrow he's like, that I don't want to play hockey anymore. It's like, okay, fine, don't play hockey, but we're going to find you another sport.
Find something
that you're
else.
Have to be like, you know, be on a team. But I feel like if he's going to get whatever the goal is going to be, it's ultimately going to come from him, right? And I'm just here to like give him guidance and teach him lessons and show him the path that's going to align with his goals.
The hard work.
Exactly. So I guess I'm just ultimately trying to say that all of this keeping up with the Joneses stuff weighed on me much more 6 months ago, a year ago, certainly 2 years ago, where at this point, it's not like I don't care. That's not it at all.
No,
but I have
but you're not going full bore anymore.
I think that's fair. Like if he wanted to ratchet it up, I would, but I would, like there's a minimum that I'm going to hold him accountable to. But
yeah, sure. Understood.
I'm not going to say, you don't want to skate? Don't skate. It's like, no, dude, listen, you're on a team. You're going to keep on working at your craft, and you're, like,
sure.
Again. So in any event.
I think it's important, too, to foster in kids. I've gravitated more toward doing things that fosters like a love of the game for him. And I've noticed that I've gotten more, I don't know how to say this, more out of him that way, having him like really love the game, doing things like, the two of us, whether it's going to an NHL game, going to a college game, doing things to make him love the game more just by being around it, as opposed to going to like an edge work class, a power skate, a stick handling class, shooting class. It seems like it's he responds more to doing the hard stuff when he's really in love with the game. Does that make sense? As to before when we were doing a little bit of that, but not as much. So if I had to do it all over again, I would really try to foster from a young age the love of the game, really, really like heavily. I would really focus on that, because ultimately, if they don't love the game, they're not going to want to put the time in, right? So especially when they find out about girls and buddies and drinking and hanging out when they're in high school.
No doubt. So when you say like like the fostering the love for the game, and maybe I missed it, but what were the things that perhaps you would have done differently to kind of focus more on that than, let's say, the more technical side of the things?
Maybe we have gone to more games. Maybe I would have asked him to watch more games with me. He never really wanted to watch NHL games. He liked to play the game, but never wants to watch NHL. This year he watched a ton of NHL. Right. So. And listen, maybe, and that could be part of that. Could be him just getting older and wanting to do it more, getting more mature, right? That could be too. But I think fostering the love of the game from a young age, especially not yelling at them so much when they don't do stuff right. Just take it just a totally different take from the parents' angle. Not yelling, not. We'd have done stuff, but I would have geared it more toward making sure that he's really like in love with the game. And we're just not doing this as like a job. You know what I mean? And it's turned into that for him. He loves the game. And I think part of that is me being softer on him and changing my stance toward this whole thing. And if I had known that at a young age, I would have done that at a younger age.
Yeah.
Maybe he wouldn't have had such a setback like he did 2 years ago if I had done that. I don't know. We'll never know, but it's possible, right? But as I'm getting more wiser in this game, right? That's my feeling.
Yeah, and you're right. You're never going to know. And, I think about that also now that I'm making a much bigger effort to just be like, dude, great job out there. Like, I'm not going to lie to him. Like, if you had a shitty game, I'll tell him, like, look, I've seen you play better. And, like, if you want my feedback, I'll tell you the things that I think you could have done differently. But you did do some great things on the ice today. Like, here's an example of X, Y, Z. Yeah. But you've probably had better games. But I think you know that, and let him talk about it as opposed to me, like, needing to, like...
bust chops,
point out all the things. All right, everyone. It's minor technical difficulties. Being on the road, apparently, the internet can cause problems, and Jamie just dropped out, but now Jamie is back. Thanks for rejoining, bud. Glad you got that all fixed.
Appreciate it. Sorry about that, folks. We will try not to do this on the road in the future. But if we do, our technology will be much better. But we didn't want to disappoint. So here I am. I'm back in the flesh.
Back. Awesome. So now's a great time. Let's go into this week's rant. My turn, and you don't know the rant, but now
I don't. Looking forward to hearing it.
No. So as I said earlier, Otto, we went up to drop him off at hockey camp, and we needed to get lunch on the way up to before I dropped him off. And it was a classic case of being on a highway and saying, "Hey, bud, what do you want to eat?" I don't know. Well, no, you need to figure it out because you need to eat lunch. Anyway, the rant is eating on the road and the difficulty that it possesses, and coupled with when people get hungry is not necessarily the time when there's decent food around, or you go somewhere and I don't want that. So my rant is as a parent wanting to give my kid modestly good food sometimes. Obviously the best food when possible, but on the road it's fucking hard, and now it's fucking annoying at this point, always having the same options, which are never great. And yes, Chipotle I think is a reasonable, also sponsors USA
not
Hockey.
terrible.
No, you can that's reasonable, but he doesn't.
You can not eat terribly there.
You can totally not eat terrible. But he doesn't
Agreed.
love it. It can be a little on the spicier side for him, even if you get it without some of the things. So the bottom line is that how many times can we get Chick-fil-A? Can we get Shake Shack? Can we if it's around, or whatever? And it's so what we did to combat that last season, since practice was an hour 15 away, whatever, let's just say hour 15 on average, that after practice 3 nights a week we would have a hot plate. It looks like a lunchbox, right? But there's a warming plate in there. You plug it into the cigarette lighter, at least whatever you call it.
Yeah, that was great by you guys.
That's what I call it.
Yeah.
And he would have a home cooked meal. But the thing that's also difficult about the food is not just about the food options that are available. It's also about my kid, and probably your kid and other kids, where it's earlier in the day we would say, "Otto, practice tonight, on the way home, salmon and rice." He legitimately likes salmon and rice, so it's not I'm trying to give him a very healthy food that he doesn't want to eat. He legitimately okay, great. But then you get in the car at 8 o'clock at night, and we're an hour away from home, and he doesn't want to eat salmon and rice. When we get home, he needs to shower, get to bed, maybe do some reading, and he now needs to eat.
I know.
It's such a pain in the fucking ass. And I talked to a dad. Sorry, and I'll let you. One other thing I'll say is I was talking to a dad, and he was like, "Look, these kids burn so many calories, and that
some of them,
right? Some, not all." But the takeaway from him was he almost didn't care about the quality of food. For him, it was just calories, and I don't want to. That doesn't fly with me. But
I think you have to start caring about the quality these days.
Totally.
Right?
Now, dad, to his credit, he is someone that is fit and pays attention to fitness, and I'm not saying that he doesn't care about quality, but I think that in these circumstances he was more okay with eating Burger King on the regular because it's going to replenish the calories. Look, if there was an amazing option,
I disagree. Yeah.
I mean, it just happens so often. It's not it's,
I know.
In season, it's at least 3 times a week, I feel, at least for us last year.
I listen, there are healthier options at these places, right? I mean, you don't have to get fries or a shake or a soda when you go to Burger King. You could have water, and you could have, a grilled chicken sandwich, and take the stuff. Like I was telling you, you take the the sauce off, or you take the bun off. There are ways to do it. Wendy's has a grilled chicken sandwich and a baked potato. There are ways to do it. But you have to be disciplined, and you have to kind of, and I disagree with the other dad. I think there's a difference in calories. There's good calories and there's bad calories. When you pound a double Whopper with cheese, I think that's different than eating, like a piece of grilled chicken, from like Wendy's by taking the bun off, stuff like that. I think it's a difference. I do.
Yeah. And
I think one makes your body, perform one way, and one makes your body perform another way. Right?
Yep. And
that's my feeling.
Yeah. At the younger ages, the total calorie consumption, it's not like they're trying to put on muscle and stuff like that, but even if that was the case, I would say that the calorie density of a double Whopper with cheese is clearly different than having like grilled chicken and broccoli. But if you need to achieve like high calorie content, then it's like, well, then start like make smoothies with like healthy doses of like peanut butter. And
I was gonna say peanut butter and protein. These kids can also eat protein shakes. Don't forget. I mean, do you know how easy it is to get a protein shake? Dominic has the Carnation instant breakfast all the time as a meal replacement. I was telling you that the liquid IV, the electrolytes. Take a packet of it and dump it into a thing of 20 ounces of water. Right. Just to tide a kid over. There are ways to do it. Listen, they're not easy, right? And they take a little planning, but there's definitely ways to do it. Listen, we all like to, to drive through McDonald's and just get, whatever number one is or a Happy Meal, whatever for the kids because it's easy, right? But, I think we have a responsibility to also teach our kids the right way and the right stuff to put into your body, especially now that they're getting older. Right, I think that's important. Because what's going to happen is all these kids are going to plateau skill-wise. They're all going to be, for the most part, the same kid. And certain things are going to set them apart from their peers, right? And I think nutrition is one thing that's going to separate kids, from their peers. I think the kid, if one kid has a certain skill set, another kid has the exact same skill set, right? Because at the end of the day, once these kids get to the upper levels, there's not going to be much that's going to be, the difference between kids is not going to be much. Right, they're all going to be able to stick handle. They'll all be able to shoot. They'll all be able to skate. Right at the top levels, but I think the intangibles, the other stuff, is what's going to set them apart. Look at Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right, the guy ate like a stud. Right. Cristiano Ronaldo, same idea.
Right.
Just compare Cristiano Ronaldo to Wayne Rooney. Two guys that were super talented, in soccer, and one was an absolute basket case with what he put into his body, and the other was. Was an Adonis because he put the right things into his body. Maybe one of the reasons why he's still playing, high-level soccer and Wayne Rooney's not. Maybe one reason why Tom Brady played into his 40, something like that, whatever it was. Maybe there's a reason why, right? Probably because of what he put into his body. I guarantee you he was not stopping at McDonald's for a Happy Meal.
No, definitely not. Right? And I think it's also. Like so many other things in sports, ours is hockey, but enter in nutrition, and you're also setting up your kid for life lessons on how to take care of their body. And
100%.
And good habits,
overall health. Yeah,
and I feel like it's harder as it's in some ways easier, but it's also harder. Like it's easier to. I think you have places like Whole Foods that like obviously didn't exist when we were kids, but there's also so much.
Yeah.
But then there's also like so many other brands of like packaged and ultra processed foods and cheaper ingredients. And I was listening to a podcast where they were just talking about and it's kind of frightening. It's even. And this is like a whole nother podcast and whatever, but just talking about like microplastics and like other glyphosate and like other things that are just like not good for you, but like you're gonna find in a lot of different products. And look, if you have to open the bag or take it out of the package to eat it, right? Like that's probably
a problem.
Well, yeah,
it's not.
Like if it's in a pinch, like fine, but like I think more to the point is like if you're opening the can, ripping the bottle or ripping the bag, like there's probably a better alternative, right? And
100% there is.
And those better alternatives are not like what you're going to find at like a convenience store shelf, and so therefore it requires planning. It requires, parents taking time to get everything set up. And the only other thing I wanted to throw out in my like rant about this is that it's almost like twofold. Like one is just like the availability of quality food, quality calories, and if you're not making it yourself, then you're often hard pressed to find good options. And again, you made a great point. So maybe it's not being hard pressed, right? But I think this is the other part of the rant, was that like my kid is not necessarily going to want the grilled chicken and broccoli, like that's what I have. Like you go to McDonald's or Chipotle, like there's a variety. Like I'm not bringing a fucking restaurant in my back seat so he can pick and choose whatever the fucking fresh food that he wants. Like, so it's like this or nothing. And sometimes
you have to say no. Sometimes you got to say that's it, bud. Sorry.
Yeah, but so it's
tough love. It's hard.
It's not. I don't think it's easy, and
no, it's not. It's not easy. But they have to figure it out. Better now than when they're older. You know. That's how I look at the stuff. Right.
Very true. Yeah.
You know. So and we can dive into the nutrition part, of our kids, at another podcast. But that was a good rant. There's a lot of crap out there that we're pumping into our kids because it's easy and it's not doing them any good. You know.
The last thing I'll say about this, in for me personally, I've had moments in my life, and when I say moments, I mean like years, where I was like take really good care of myself, and then I've also had, and I'm currently in the throes, hopefully on the tail end of not taking great care of myself, and just setting a good example for your kid, I think is really important. Right. And we talk about setting a good example by like, carrying your own bag, or like advocating for yourself, or, whatever. And I think setting a good example also would include like they will see what mom and dad eat and what mom and dad drink.
100%.
And, if your house is full of crap, like, what are they going to eat?
Absolutely.
They're probably going to eat more crap. But if they see mom and dad like eating more on the healthful side, and then also if like mom and dad are eating that stuff, then you have an opportunity to like share that with your kid. If you're just eating shit and your kid wants a bite, you're going to give a bite of shit. But if you're eating a salad, like I was for dinner, my daughter's eating like olives and feta cheese and some steak. Like she wasn't eating like yet another bite of pizza tonight, So
that's right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, listen, no argument for me. Listen, we try to do that too. A good thing that we've been putting in the car, just maybe on a kind of sidebar, is like we buy from Whole Foods, like you were mentioning. We'll buy like a thing of like raw almonds and like raw like sunflower seeds, and just kind of mix them together and create like a little like just like a little. You put it in like a little plastic container or a glass container if you don't like plastic, and you kind of carry it with you, and it's just something easy to put some good calories into your body and not reach for like shit. Right?
Yeah. And
not a bad thing.
And like as you say that, when you said before, like sometimes the answer is just no. It's like also, like just because I think I'm stumbling a little bit. But
sometimes the answer is just no.
Sometimes like, okay, you don't want it, so then like you can just wait to eat.
Don't eat tonight.
If you're really fucking hungry right now, then you'll eat what's in front of you. And if you don't want to eat that, then you can be hungry until either there is something else I can get you, and tomorrow. If I'm willing to, or maybe it's just tomorrow.
Yeah. And that's okay too. That's okay too. The kid's not going to die of starvation, I promise you. Right?
Dude, so I just had a fast. And I was.
What'd you go for, like 16 hours?
No, it was longer than 16 hours. It was longer. It was
nice.
Yeah, because I also so in years past I would intermittent fast kind of regularly, and I was like on a kick. So I don't know. I think it was like a 20-hour fast all in, and I believe it or not, I was actually tracking it. Like there's an app called Zero, which is
I know the app. I know the app well.
Yeah. So I looked at my kids and I said, "You guys don't know what hungry is." I'm like, the last time you didn't eat for 20 hours was never.
And
look at me. and so
last time you ate for 20 hours was never, is right.
It was never a go. And I was like, so here I am, and I'm hungry. Maybe I'm starving, but the bottom line is that like it's okay if you don't have another snack now, or you have to wait.
You're not going to die of starvation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Our kids will not die of starvation. I guarantee you, our kids will not die of starvation.
No, I would be
Right?
surprised if they even know what that feels like. I mean, thank God, right? Like, but I'm just saying.
They have no idea.
No idea.
Clue. Tough love. Sometimes tough love is a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So here we go. All right. So you want to wrap it up since so I don't drop again?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right.
It's getting a little late as well, and this was a good episode.
Yes.
Yeah. So everyone,
Yeah.
please, Howie's Crazy 10, use it.
Crazy 10.
Yeah, 100%. Use it. Subscribe. Let people know about
Yes,
it.
share the show. Tell your friends about it. Send it around. Keep downloading. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate with everybody putting up with our technical glitches. As we go on, we will get much better at that. But I'm glad that we figured this out. And that was all to Scott. Scott's the one that figured this out, how to do this remotely like this. So kudos to you, bud. Nice job.
Thank you, sir. But it's teamwork that makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work. That's right. Well, nice job, buddy. Good stuff.
That's
And
what's up.
I appreciate making this happen. Thank you again, everybody, for putting up with us. And our next episode is going to be the 4th of July episode. So I'm looking forward to that. We've got a lot of cool stuff to talk about Team USA. That's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Yo, let's go.
All right, bud.
All right, man.
See you
Take
later
it
from West
easy.
Virginia. See ya.
Good talking to you. Bye.
You too, bud. Later.